welcome to another episode of the Muffed Punt Sports Podcast. My name is Brandon, and I am joined tonight by Ralph and by Terry. And man, we have a great episode planned for you this evening. Believe it or not, guys, this is our 10th Muffed Punt Sports Podcast episode. Say that 10 times fast. So, super excited to get things started. We have 3 games of coverage coming at you pretty quickly here. I'm going to get things started off with my game of the week, which I think was a pretty no-brainer for me, which was the Bills-Cards game. I think basically the first half of the game could be boiled down to a battle of field goal kickers, and Buffalo was able to score on a touchdown in the first half. Otherwise, all of the scoring came by way of the kickers. I think the main thing you need to know about the first half is Tyler Bass. He got on the board late in the first quarter for the Bills, sinking a 54-yard field goal to give them an early 10-3 lead. He backed it up on their next drive, too, when he hit a 55-yarder. Then, their final drive of the half, Bass easily made a 58-yard field goal to put the Bills up 16-9 at the break, marking the longest field goal of his career and tying the longest field goal in team history. The Bills took Bass in the 6th round of the draft earlier in this year, and the former Georgia Southern standout earned his spot on the team over veteran Stephen Hauschka. He said, "I had to earn everything I had there. Nothing has been handed to me in life, and I had to earn that," Bass said in August via USA Today. "I came to camp with the same mentality. I knew I wasn't the number one guy coming in, and I had to earn that right and the respect." So far, he's done just that. Headed into Sunday, Bass has gone 16 of 22 on the field, and he has missed just one extra point. He made all 3 of his extra point attempts on Sunday and now has 85 points on the season, the 3rd most by a rookie in Bills history. And the second half of the game really came down to 2 plays. The Bills touchdown to Josh Allen to Stephen Diggs on the 2nd and 1. Great throw, great catch. I think the main thing is, when Stephon Diggs caught the ball, comes up and he yells, "That's why you pay me." Loved it. But everything basically was overshadowed by the Hail Murray. That's what they were calling it after the game. The 43-yard pass with only seconds remaining, and you can see both of the tackles for Arizona get blown up on the play. Murray scrambled to the left, and he has to kind of almost throw completely across his body, and D-Hop was able to jump up even in double coverage and grab the ball, proving that sometimes you just have to throw it up there and give a guy a chance. The Cardinals winning the game 32-30. Cardinals are now 6-3 on the season, and I want to throw it up to our new guy on the podcast, Mr. Terry. What did you think of the game, bud? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, this was I would say this is probably the best game of the week. Certainly the most exciting finish for sure. Personally, I think both of these teams are kind of, I feel like, ascending. They both have, quarterbacks that seem like they're really starting to take off. I know on that last drive watching the game, Josh Allen throwing that touchdown to Diggs with 34 seconds left. I thought it was pretty much over at that point, but you can't count out Kyler Murray. That guy, he can make some special things happen, especially with now that he has somebody like DeAndre Hopkins to throw to. I mean, what a finish! And he dunked on 3 guys. I mean, that's icing on the cake for that one. So yeah, I really really thought this was the game of the week for sure.
Just a couple of quick points for me really on this game was, speaking of that kicker, 6th round draft pick. How bad do you think Chicago would want a kicker like that right now? Especially over the last couple of years with their atrocious kicking game, field goal kickers and whatnot. So that was the first thing that came to mind, Brandon, when you were spouting off some of those stats about him being a 6th round pick and 3rd most points in Bills history. So I bet you Chicago is kind of licking their wounds again on the kicking front there. Second thing that I thought about on this game was Kyler Murray. I don't think he really flashed last year, but talk about taking that leap in your sophomore season. He's fun to watch, and I don't think I've seen. Is he not the best running quarterback right now in the league? I mean, Lamar Jackson, of course, is going to, kind of take that from a notoriety standpoint, like name recognition, if you will. But I think that Kyler Murray, the more I watch him, the more I think he's probably the best running quarterback in the league. He just juked the crap out of one guy. It was unbelievable. He's small. He's almost like that Darren Sproles, can't see him coming out of the backfield kind of guy. And then when he just wants to put a move on you, he is just so fluid and so quick. Just really fun to watch. If I'm a Cardinals fan, I'm pretty happy with that selection, number 1 overall last year. Brandon?
Am I the only person that when I see him play, I kind of, for whatever reason, I kind of picture like Roadrunner? Like his ability to move his feet so fast and the ability to just like on the dime turn his hips and then just go from 0 to 60. It's like, it just so many times I watch him play and I'm just absolutely amazed by the back and forth juking. It's like watching somebody play Madden.
Yeah, he's fun to watch, and he just like you said, he's just quick. Those hips are just fluid and can just turn on a dime, and the speed on top of it. I mean, when he's trying to flank out, if you're bootlegging out to either end of the field, and a D lineman is trying to crash down on him, I don't think I've ever seen anybody that I don't even know what to really call it, but that quick, just that fluid, that instinctual just burst of get out of the way, and he does it consistently. I don't think anybody can catch him on the edge.
I have a hard time trying to figure out in my mind like what position I feel like he would have been amazing at baseball, because I feel like there's so many he could have been talented at. I mean, I don't know if he was ever a pitcher specifically, but just thinking off of like his versatility physically, he'd be an amazing shortstop and also center fielder. He'd have like that like better than Odubel Herrera, I would imagine, pretty off the jump. You know what I'm saying? So, but like that physicality, that speed, the ability to like kind of bounce and then immediately have that speed to the ball, I think he would be amazing in the field. Now, I have no idea. Do you guys know if he ever pitched when he played baseball?
I don't know for sure, no.
I do. I was going to say I do know that he was thought to be a potential MLB draft pick. I'm not sure how high. I know that a lot of people thought that he was going to play baseball. I mean, he's got an absolute cannon for an arm too. I mean, besides the fact that he's, probably the quickest quarterback right now in the league. He's definitely the most functionally elusive guy. And then, and then the fact that he can uncork a ball and put it, 60 yards downfield, and I feel like his accuracy is just getting better and better. It would have been interesting to see what he would have been, had he chose baseball. But I think I'm sure the Cardinals are pretty happy that he's he's leading the wins like this instead of leading off for the Yankees or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he did. Oh, you might have it too. I just looked it up. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, I was going to say, according to Wikipedia, in 2015, he was a highly ranked prospect out of high school, and he was a shortstop and a second baseman in high school.
So, yeah, right there. Shortstop, second baseman, perfect. Yes, that would be the dude that I would want up the middle of my infield to close the gap. I think he would be absolutely perfect at that. And with that cannon to be able to throw it across the field to first, I think he would be perfect. So, yeah, he was drafted, actually. He was drafted 9th overall by the Oakland Athletics in the 2018 MLB draft. So it's definitely something that I think it's interesting to have that where you see those guys choose. And with his height, I think everybody thought he was going to go baseball. But it goes to show you that Russell Wilson paved the way, so to say. And then you see him come up and excel at it, too. And it's really nice to see. So the second game we have on the docket is the Rams game. And we're going to pass off our coverage to Ralph.
So just watching this game, I really wanted to touch on Russell Wilson, and we talked about Kyler Murray and how well he's playing, and I think Kyler Murray's putting himself into an MVP candidacy, whereas Russell Wilson, who was kind of leading that for me up until now, has kind of regressed a little bit. And I don't think it's really, I don't think it's a byproduct of Russell Wilson, because let's face it, Russell's great. But I just think, after that game, Russell is 22 of 37, 248 yards, no touchdowns, two interceptions, and a fumble. Just very uncharacteristic of Russell Wilson to be on that stat line. I mean, recently that's probably what you would expect Carson Wentz to be at this point. So, and then on the other side of the field, you've got Jared Goff, 27 of 37. Again, 302 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He did lose a fumble. But what I wanted to bring up to you guys and pose this to you, because you both know this from listening to Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio, and it's all Carson, all Eagles, all the time on WIP. But when it comes to the Goff versus Wentz comparison, and you're going to get that no matter what. You're going to get that for the rest of their careers. As long as they play, they're going to be compared to one another, obviously, because they went, number one and number two overall. But a year or two ago, I would say that the Eagles made the right choice in Wentz. And now I'm trying to, the more I watch Goff play and play under McVay, the more I think that that could be wrong. And I think Goff is, he's really playing well. He's not hurting his team, and he's efficient, and he's got speed all around him. And I think they're a sneaky team. I don't think people were giving them credit. I know I wasn't early in the season, but I think they can be a sneaky team. Brandon, what do you think about the Rams right now?
I agree with what you say about the sneakiness portion of it, because I don't think there's ever a portion where I'm like, there's never been a game this year where I'm like, oh yeah, Rams are taking that game. But it's tough for me, because thinking about what you said, what I jump to immediately isn't so much the comparison between Goff and Wentz. It's the comparison between McVay and Doug Peterson, because that to me has been, when I watch the game, we're going to get into the Eagles part of it, so I don't want to jump the gun here. But it was a lot of, similar things that we see there. But just sticking with the offense, I think you see McVay's creativity all the time. And I think you see Doug Peterson's staleness lately anyway. I don't see a lot of different plays that I'm like, oh, wow, that was cool. That was flashy. It's a lot of kind of the same old, same old. But I think when you look at what McVay's doing, I think he's kind of the catalyst in that department, and being able to call the plays at the right moment that allows Goff to just be the field general and do what he has to do to just not give up the ball. But I think for me, that game absolutely came down to the Rams defense in the second half, watching them completely stifle the Seahawks offense. They basically took away DK Metcalf. And then after they took away DK Metcalf, they made him force the ball to Lockett and through their tight ends. And I don't know why. Initially, the initial thought that I had about the game was, if I told you the game was 23-16, but no touchdown passes were thrown in the game, would you believe me?
Yeah.
It was absolutely, to me, this whole weekend was pretty uncharacteristic for football as a whole. What did you think, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just say the NFL this season to me is this is one of the most odd years that I can remember. You don't really know who teams are at this point in the season. I mean, they go week to week, looking one week like they could be a contender, and then the next week they're getting blown out by somebody who doesn't even look like they should. They're even in the playoff contention. But yeah, I mean, I would say I definitely think the Rams, I agree with you, Brandon. The Rams defense is I don't think they get as much credit. I mean, they do have two of the premier defensive players in the league. Obviously, Aaron Donald is a beast, and Jalen Ramsey is one of the top corners in the league. So, I mean, when you have a guy pushing the pocket like that, and then a guy that can lock down the other team's best receiver, that's going to be a plus. I think that's certainly why you're starting to see you saw Russ he's starting to cool off a bit. He's starting to come back to earth, because I mean it's really all on him in Seattle. I mean, they had like no running backs, so to speak. I mean, everybody's hurt. Um, I know that, I saw that's the stat with Ramsey covering DK with only, DK only had, I think, 2 catches for 28 yards on 4 targets. I would say that, if I'm Seattle, DK, you still need to throw him the ball a little bit more. I think 4 targets is kind of light. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I like the Rams going forward. I think that, like you said, back to the Wentz Goff and the Peterson McVay thing, I definitely think McVay is super creative with the offense. They have a solid running game that can kind of carry the load a little bit off of a Goff. Doesn't mean he has to try and do so much to push the ball downfield. But they still have really good complement of receivers to work with. So I mean, all that Goff has to do is be a solid game manager. Don't turn the ball over. And I think that I would say I'd have to say it's. I think the West is going to come down between them and the Cardinals at this point. I think Seattle's defense is showing that they're really suspect, and Russ can only do so much. Throwing the ball. I think other teams are starting to get wise to what's going on. So, what do you think about Ralph?
Yeah, I mean, getting back to DK Metcalf, I mean, Jalen Ramsey lined up against him 30 out of 42 of their plays. And I don't think 0 receptions against him with him lined up covering him. So, their defense, Ramsey and obviously, like you said, Aaron Donald. But, on the offensive side for the Rams anyway, and we're into the last, I guess, third of the season, if you will, coming down to the last 6 or 7 games. And now it's a war of attrition. Now you're, any kind of injury that you have on either the offensive side or the defensive side at this point in the season, if it's anything of any major, extent, like Andrew Whitworth, I mean, he's torn MCL, damaged PCL, so he's done for the year. And a guy like that, you can't just pick a guy off the street and replace him with. You can have depth at that position, and I'm sure that they'll be serviceable, but you're not going to be a captain all-pro Andrew Whitworth. So, these teams are going to really, have to – everybody's going to be on the same playing field, don't get me wrong. Teams are going to have injuries, but it's who's going to sustain and be able to stay on top and kind of overcome them, a la Philadelphia back in 2017. But just final thought on this game for me, guys, is one is Darius Williams for the Rams. I'm don't know if you guys recall this play in particular, but Russell Wilson throws the ball, and it was on the right side of the field, and out of nowhere, Darius Williams just leaps sideways. I mean, he was pretty much horizontal, completely horizontal, and intercepts Russell Wilson. And I thought that was probably the most athletic play that I think I've seen this year, with the exception, obviously, I think of Metcalf running down Budda Baker, to prevent a touchdown. But from a pure athletic standpoint, that interception to me was, man, you love seeing that. I love defense. I love seeing guys just, come out of nowhere and they break on that ball and just come up with a big play for their team. So I think that was a big killer too for Seattle, because it just killed any momentum they had. So, like I said, final thought there, but Russell Wilson, I think, took a step back for me in my MVP race.
I think he absolutely did for me too. And yeah, I definitely think Kyler Murray has had a pretty interesting year as far as that race goes as well. I just, looking at the stats from this game in particular, no one really had that much of a day other than Reynolds for the Rams. He had 10 catches, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 94 yards. But again, like, no touchdowns on either side. Jared Goff, 302 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And then if you look at Russell Wilson, he was 248 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So definitely taking a step back for me in the MVP race for sure. We'll have to see how things kind of go. I mean, if he finishes as strong as he started, then who knows? I mean, that's definitely going to be really tough. But we definitely are heading into that final stretch. So we're heading into the part of the episode that I think I'm the most excited about. I don't know about you folks out there. Definitely make sure if you're still with us that you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the little bell so that you can stay up to date with everything that goes on with the show. But we're heading into Terry's portion. He's covering the Eagles game for his choice. And that's right, folks. We found another Birds fan. So if you don't like the Eagles, you might want to go to a different podcast because we're still going to be going strong each and every week. So what's up, Terry? Tell me about the Birds.
Hey, thanks, Brandon. Yeah, so this was a division battle for the NFC least, making to see who's going to take that top spot. Let's just be honest. Any game in the NFC East is not very good football at this point. It doesn't seem like anyone really wants to take over. Part of the reason that I wanted to spotlight this game is because I thought that, as a Birds fan, I was optimistic of them coming out of the bye week. They've been pretty stale, for most of the season. It also seemed like they were going to be getting a lot of guys back healthy. I thought, prior to the game, I was thinking that, they should come out, and I thought that they would roll the Giants. I mean, coming into this game, the Giants defense was, I think, rated pretty low in the league. I want to say bottom 5. And I thought it was a good spot for, the Eagles to really kind of make a statement. Well, I was obviously quite wrong. We got a lot of the same from the Eagles again. Right off the get-go of the game, it seemed like the Giants came out with some purpose. They really kind of punched the Eagles right in the mouth right off the bat. I mean, they go right down the field. First score of the game, Daniel Jones, again, this time not tripping and falling down. He hits a 34-yard, read option run. And, the fact that the Eagles fell for it again after, the way he was beating them the last 2 weeks ago, you got to put a lot of that on Jim Schwartz and preparation. And you got to give, the Giants stuck to their guns. I mean, they did what they had to do, he doesn't trip and fall this time. So they go out right down the field, score, take a 7-0 lead. Eagles flounder, get a, field goal, bring it back to 7-3. Again, the Giants drive downfield, take a 14-3 lead into halftime. Coming out of halftime, I thought, it looked pretty bright for the Eagles. They had, big play, running the ball. Boston Scott hits a 56-yard run, brings it to 14-11. Again, Doug Peterson with these 2-point conversions. I really don't know what to say about it. I don't know what he's thinking at this point a lot of times. But then the defense, again, just, gets rolled right over. The Giants go down the field. Right off of the Eagles touchdown that seemed like brought them back into the game. Giants go 6 plays, 75 yards. Gallman with the 1-yard dive into the end zone. Take a 21-11 lead. Again, the Eagles, make another score. Corey Clement with the 5-yard run to bring it to 21-17. And then, from there, it's just like the Eagles just keep shooting themselves in the foot. They keep making mistake after mistake and giving up, first downs. Final score ends up being 27-17. I have to say at this point, I think the Giants, they to me seem like they would be my front runner for the division. As much as I would like the Eagles to really kind of find themselves, I don't see it happening. I think there's a lack of, there's something missing within this team, and I think a lot of it comes down to coaching. I think that like was alluded to earlier with Sean McVay and his creativity. Doug Peterson hasn't really been calling any good football, as far as an offensive coordinator, calling plays, getting these guys into a rhythm. Probably since, maybe 2018, the year after the Super Bowl year. I mean, it's kind of been floundering from there. I would have to say, I think that I think that he's on the hot seat at this point, and I don't like the prospects for the next, I think, 6 games. They play 6 tough teams, and it's looking pretty tough for the it's looking pretty tough for them down the stretch. So, what do you think about it, Brendan?
Just gave me a great thought. Can we move off of Dougie P and then get Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs? Like we'll do like Dougie P 2.0.
That's he's been waiting in the wings for a while.
I think that would be like my wildest football dreams come true, but I don't think that's going to happen. I always love and respect Dougie P, but again, it's kind of like the same with the defense. Like I don't know if it's an overall lack of talent, or if it's just play calling. Like, and so you saying again, play calling is what really sticks out to you. Then makes me wonder because like if I look at the defense, the thing that really just drives me absolutely insane, and we've gone through it like 5 times in this podcast, so I won't do it again. But just you watch the other team just attack us up the middle every single drive, and we have no linebackers and we have no secondary to stop them. And that's all this is every single week. And Slay can't do everything. So there's times that he messes up too, but he can't be perfect on every single play. I was expecting him to lock guys down a little bit more a la the Jalen Ramsey, but when the entire rest of this defense is a sieve, I don't really know what he can do to make up for it, you know? So those are the things that to me is just terrible linebacking core, terrible secondary. Our offensive line's been not great. So our buddy Paul, who was on the podcast and the before, kept saying, you know, you guys just need a rebuild. So I don't know really if we've gotten to that point. I don't know if you feel that way, Terry, but that's just kind of where we've been on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's time for a little bit of an overhaul in this team. And I mean, I've been saying it with friends and people I watch the games with and stuff. I've been saying I really think that that Jeffrey Lurie needs to kind of clean house a little bit. I think I mean, like, let's just start with Roseman. I mean, how many bad draft picks have we had? Guys that we've taken, and
don't get Ralph started. Don't get Ralph started.
Whiteside is a healthy scratch on Sunday. And, there's a guy in Washington, Terry McLaurin, that's destroying teams, and so is DK Metcalf. I mean, we took Jalen Hurts in the second round, and, this guy is, he could be a good quarterback, but what, you just paid Carson Wentz all this money. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any like rhyme or reason to what they do in that section. And then to Peterson, this guy doesn't set anything up. Like, you run the ball to set up the play action pass. I mean, it's almost like as if this guy's just throwing a dart against his play sheet every game. Like, each one, like, let's just go with this play and see what happens. And I think that, other teams, like, when's the last time the Eagles ran a successful screenplay?
I've watched. I can't tell you how many get blown up. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's and then the Jim Schwartz thing again, the coaching on that side. The first game, you knew Daniel Jones was going to they were going to use him as a runner. You could see he's obviously got some wheels for a quarterback. The defensive end bites on the fake every single time, and even unfortunately, Brandon Graham's having a good season. Even he does it, and These guys just get chunk plays off of it. And it's like, how are you not learning from your mistakes? I think at this point, I think they really need to. They're really going to have to take a hard look at this team. I mean, I do think there's some talent on this team, but I definitely think that there needs to be some serious changes made. I think you're going to see some massive cuts at the end of this season. But let me pose this to you guys. So, do you think that Wentz is like that he can be salvaged potentially with another coach?
Yeah, totally.
See, here's where I kind of waffle on this one. And I agree that I think Howie Roseman is probably the first one that's got to go. His draft record speaks for itself. You know, I mean, his draft record goes back to, the days of, not maybe he didn't pick this pick, but he was there with Danny Watkins, a fireman being drafted. I mean, his hands were on that pick too, not just Andy's. I'm not ready to pull the plug on Doug, and I'm not ready to pull the plug on Carson. But watching that game 2 weeks ago was the first time. Was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? One of those game against the Cowboys, I think, was the first time that I've actually thought in my head, man, they got to bench him. They got to do something with him because he's hurting them. He continues to hurt this team and put them in terrible positions. I mean, with fumbles. Every game he turns the ball over in some way, shape, or form. And it's every game that it's an avoidable play. It's avoidable. He can escape the pocket. He can throw the ball away. As long as you don't intentionally ground the ball, you live to fight another down. And he's not doing it. And it really, I'm speaking to two Eagles fans here, but it really irritates the crap out of me when I watch him make the same mistakes over and over and over. And at a certain point in my head, I'm sitting there thinking, man, is it really time to even begin this conversation and moving on? I don't think Jalen Hurts is the answer, though. I mean, maybe, but we still don't know really what we have with Carson. I think there's talent on this team. Terry, I think you're right when you say that there's going to be a massive overhaul, but I think there's got to be, because I think they're like top 3 or top 5 as far as salary cap.
They're going to be in salary hell after this year if they don't do something majorly.
Oh, yeah.
So guys are going to go. There's going to be big changes this year, whether that's, personnel, front office, or coaching wise. But I don't think that this is Doug's last stand. I think I would, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to guarantee you that he's here next year, guaranteed. Unless this team absolutely quits, he's here next year.
All right. So let me pose one more question to you. So the Eagles, over their next 6 games, I'm trying to pull up the schedule here. I know they have.
Oh, it's terrible.
They play the Browns, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Saints, and the Cardinals. The next 5 games, all in my eyes, are potentially losses. And the last 2, the Cowboys and Washington, I mean,
they could be losses too.
They could be. I mean, I'd say probably they win one game, maybe at most, I think 2 out of the rest of the year.
But would you rather have this team win a crap division to host a playoff game that they could potentially lose in the first round, hurt their draft choice, because obviously they need it? Now, again, we talked on this podcast before, it doesn't matter if they have a high draft pick as long as Howie Roseman's running the draft. But now's the time where, hey, you've got a tough schedule. I'm not saying tank. Don't get me wrong. I'll never say tank. You go out and you play the game, and you play the game to win. Herman Edwards, famous line there. But, you play this game to win, and that's, to me, what this team needs to show me over the next 6-7 weeks is a team that's going to fight. Because you're not just playing for this year, you're playing for next year, and you're playing for a spot beyond this, or possibly a spot on another team. And if you put bad tape out there for other coaches and other organizations to look at and say that, oh man, did you see how this guy quit on him? This is week 11. They're still leading the division and he quit. That's, to me, what I don't want to see. And I saw that on the last game, not the first Giants game, when Daniel Jones broke that 80-yard run and 2 of our defenders quit at the 50-yard line. They stopped chasing him.
Yeah.
Well, it'll definitely be a sight to see, that's for sure, with the Birds, as it always is. I think the key, as it always is with an Eagles fan, is patience. And that'll be something that we continue to learn as being Philadelphia fans. But, hey, you know what? If nothing else, it makes it when we win that much sweeter.
Well, real quick, when you say patience, just something that popped in my head while Terry was talking about this and you guys were kind of going back and forth was, when do you quit on somebody? So when do you quit on Dougie P? When do you quit on Carson Wentz? Because look at Sidney Jones. They quit on him. They spent a second-round draft pick on that kid. Then he goes down to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, of all places, Jacksonville. And he's having a pretty good year. He's all over that stat sheet every game with pass breakups, fumble, causing fumbles, interceptions. I mean, tackles for loss. I mean, the guy is playing pretty well this year. Granted, it's on a crappy team, but you look at guys like that, and then Aguilar. Not that he's having a fantastic year; he's still dropping the ball a lot, but he's leading the league in yards per catch, or yards per catch.
He came back down to earth a little bit.
I think so too. But there's always a risk that these players are going to move on and then have great success elsewhere when you're like, oh shoot, he was here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Go ahead, Terry.
I was going to say that happens a lot with Philadelphia teams in general.
Yeah.
But especially it seems with the Eagles, he's got guys. I would say in other sports too. The Phillies have had guys that left and were good elsewhere, which is unbelievable. But the thing is like I think you were saying like when is it time to move on? And I think like from my perspective, I would say that looking at these press conferences after these games recently, it's like the same exact blather after every single game. Like, oh, we got to execute better, we got to do better. I got to be better, I got to call better. Is the messaging from the coaches getting to the players, and is it getting stale with the players? I mean, are they actually putting it on the line like you're supposed to every game? I mean, to me, it seems like maybe Doug's message isn't really getting through to these guys, or maybe they're just not feeling it anymore. That's just. I look at it this way: they've trended downward ever since the Super Bowl year, when Frank Reich left, became the head coach of the Colts, and DiFilippo left and went to Minnesota. Ever since then, since Doug's been by himself pretty much with all this, parade of offensive coordinators and different guys that have come in and out of here. And at the same time, Jim Schwartz has always been having, his issues on the other side of the ball, but it just seems like they're just trending downward. And to me, it just seems like maybe it's starting to rub off on the players.
I've been wondering for a while why they didn't just give Deuce a shot. I thought if Deuce had his shot to run the offense, it would have been different than what Doug did. Doug could have interjected and had overroll, which is what I kind of think Andy Reid does in Kansas City. But give somebody else a chance with these guys, because clearly the last couple years have just not been great.
Yeah, and I would say last point. I don't want to go too much longer on this, but I kind of agree with you, because if Deuce was the offensive coordinator, the guy's an ex-running back. You have to be patient with the run game.
Yeah, maybe you might stick with it.
Yeah, look at the stats from Sunday. Miles Sanders, 15 carries for 85 yards. That's 5.7 yards per carry. That's really good. Boston Scott, 3 carries for 63 yards. That's 21 a carry. There's a few carries outside of that, but you're hitting runs at that clip, and you're not going to continue to run, especially when the fact that your quarterback's been struggling, and your defense is struggling. Keep them off the field a little bit. Miles Sanders is an electric player, and I don't understand why they get away from him so much. He is really good. This is what I mean with Doug. It's just like he doesn't want to run the ball.
I feel like that's been a complaint in this city for so long. Remember the people that were sitting outside of the Lincoln Financial Field with the signs, "Run the ball, Doug"?
Yeah.
So
look back to the Super Bowl year. They ran the ball really well that year, and they had balance. And then it would give Wentz a chance to make these magic plays that he used to do. But now everybody knows that they're just going to drop back 40 times a game, and they're just going to keep throwing little wrinkles at us that are going to try and confuse Wentz. And he's obviously regressing. So it's why not stick to the run game? Grind the games out. You can still do that. You still have a pretty solid offensive line for the most part.
So I think that's going to wrap up our coverage for the games this week. I think what we're going to do now is start to move into our prediction section. One of the things that I want to say is, man, Terry, you came in and matched our leader, which is Ralph. He's been kicking my butt. He's 2 games ahead of me now on the year, but you came in. Both of you guys went 11-3 last week on your picks. I was very impressed, so I'm looking forward to seeing how things go this week, and we'll see if things can keep up. I think what we're going to do right now, since Paul had to step out, is that we're just going to kind of reset from this point forward just to make it fun, and we'll just see how the 3 of us do against each other. I'll concede that Ralph beat me through the first half of the year, and then we'll see how the 3 of us do against each other in the last. How's that sound?
That's cool with me.
Awesome. All right, so moving on to the next week, week 11 of NFL football. We start off Thursday night football, and basically what we're going to do is a little bit of a round table. I think what we're going to do is I'll say the game, we're going to hit Ralph for his pick, then we'll hit Terry, and then I'll wrap it up, and then we'll move our way on down the list. So Thursday night we start off Cardinals versus the Seahawks, 8:20 game. What do you think, Ralph?
Man, this is hard right out of the gate, man. Like you got 2 teams that are evenly matched, even records. Cardinals, Seahawks, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson. It's like looking in a mirror there. NFC West again. This whole division is just really, really well run and good records and good football teams. Much different than the NFC East for sure. But I always go with where I think my gut lies, and I don't usually bet against Russell Wilson, but I'm going to take Arizona.
So I agree with Ralph. This is a tough first game to call here. I really like the Cardinals in this one, but I do feel like after having such like a miraculous like last second win in that game before, that they're gonna maybe they're gonna be kind of smelling themselves a little bit. And the Seahawks, they have to keep pace here. I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home.
And that's a 10-4 good buddy for me. I think I'm going to go with Seattle at home. I think coming off of the big victory for Arizona, it's going to be hard for them to keep up the momentum. I'm hoping Seattle's going to learn from their mistakes last week, maybe get the ball to Alex Collins a little bit more and see how things go. I know he started off the game with a bang and then just completely became invisible. So I'm hoping we'll see that Seattle and Russell will get back to form. Next game on the list we have is the early games on Sunday. Oh, and really quick, shout out to our former podcast bud, Paul. Is this the first Thursday that America doesn't lose? That's a pretty good game.
So. I think so.
So I'm definitely happy about that one. What were you going to say, Terry?
I was going to say, I thought the Thursday night game this past week was pretty good. The Colts and the Titans. I was pretty surprised. I liked the Titans in that one, but I thought the Colts really showed me something. But I'm still not sold on Philip Rivers.
Yeah, I think that's I've never been sold on that guy, but hey, he can show up once in a while. So early game we have is Cincinnati at Washington. What do we think, Ralph?
Well, if the Cardinals and the Seahawks was hard to pick because they're good teams, this one's hard to pick because they're shitty teams. It's almost a pick 'em at this point for me, but I give the quarterback play an edge to the Bengals with Joe Burrow. So give me the Bengals to take over Washington.
I agree. I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow. I think he's doing a pretty good job with that team and what they have there. I do think Washington's defense is going to give him some trouble. But ultimately, I think the Bengals are going to win this one.
As long as Joe Burrow's body holds up, he'll be fine. So I'm going to go Bengals in that one as well. That boy's gotten sacked a lot this year. I'm just hoping he can stay healthy. So next game on the list we have is Atlanta at New Orleans. Ralph?
Obviously, Drew Brees is hurt. How long is he going to be out? I highly doubt he would be playing this week. I don't know if anything's come out yet. I think he had multiple cracked ribs and a collapsed lung. So If he were to play this weekend, it would just be insane. But Jameis Winston's your backup. Not really high. I'm not really confident in him. However, when you've got guys like Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill and Michael Thomas and guys like that, I can't go away from the Saints on this one. The Falcons have not done anything for me this year to prove to me that they can play with elite teams, and not that the Saints are elite, but their record says they're 7-2. So give me the Saints at home.
Better hide from your wife, Terry.
So on this one, like he said, with Breeze getting hurt, Jameis Winston coming in, or is it going to be Taysom Hill? I don't really know what they're going to do. I feel like this is a spot for the Saints to kind of trip and fall over themselves. I'm going to take the Falcons in the upset on this one.
You don't think the Saints are going to eat a W with Jameis Winston at quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he goes back to his old ways and throws at least 2 picks, probably more. And the Falcons defense ain't that great, and I still think he throws 2 picks.
Yeah, I think that's for me the toughest thing to really think about, is wondering if the Saints defense is going to decide to show up. Not so much the Falcons. For me, it's going to be the Saints defense. It's going to be really what's going to tell this game. I think I'm still going to have to go Saints, but I feel like I'm going to regret it. Next game on the list we have is Steelers at Jacksonville. Do I even need to ask? Do either one of you guys want to take Jacksonville?
Jacksonville plays Pittsburgh tough. We all know it. We've seen it, right? Playoffs, right? Do you think it's going to...
They play tough at home as well.
Yeah. I'm tempted to take a chance here, because the Steelers are going to trip up eventually. They're not going 16-0. And are they going to take the Jags lightly? Man, this is really tempting to take a shot at. But I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm going to go Pittsburgh all the way this week. And as a betting man, I'll say this: the Steelers are 10-point favorites in this game. I would lay that 10 points all day. They're gonna win this by at least 20.
I really thought Ralph had almost talked himself into it. I was like, "Oh, he's got it! Oh man, we were so close."
See, I'm learning this whole podcast thing. You gotta lead you one way, and then I'll snap it back the other way.
You got me. Next one we have is New England at Houston. What do we think, fellas? Ralph?
Well, I know this is one of the games. The Patriots were one of the teams I was wrong about last week. So, do you ever count Bill Belichick out? No. The Texans, again, not showing me anything that I can have any kind of faith in. And it's for Bill Belichick only that I'll go Patriots.
Well, I'm going to say I was very surprised at the Patriots team that showed up this Sunday night. But I don't think that's the real Patriots team. I still think they're frauds. And I actually think that the Texans win this one.
Interesting. Do you know the line on that game?
The line, Patriots are a 2-point favorite on the road.
So you automatically get 3 for being a home team, right?
Right. So really it should be like the Patriots are kind of like a 5-point.
I'm going to say I've been burned too many times by the Pats to not go that way. There have been so many times that I'm like, yeah, no, not going to happen, and then I'm wrong. So I'm going to go New England. Next game on the list, we have Philly at Cleveland. Ralph?
Oh, it hurts, man. It hurts to pick against this team, but they're just not showing me anything. I'm going Browns.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, I hate to say it. I'm gonna pick against them, but watch them come out and actually show us something this week and make prove me wrong. But I'm taking the Browns. I think the Browns are going to run all over us.
Yeah, I'm going to go Browns as well. We all got burned on them last week. Like all of us got that game last week, and I think the last time was when they played the Cowboys. So we just had different times. It's just been tough this year for sure as Eagles fans. But yeah, I'm going to go Browns on this one. I think it's going to be tough for them to get another win this year, but we'll have to see. Trevor Lawrence? No, I'm kidding.
I say play your young guys and see what you got.
That's definitely what I would be doing at this point, but absolutely, let's focus more on the run. But we've been there. Next one on the docket is Detroit at Carolina. Ralph?
Two teams that have burned me multiple times this year, and two teams that have also, I've been hot on both of these teams this year. I really like the Lions, even though their record didn't show it. I like that defense. And Carolina, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, can anybody talk bad about that guy? That dude is just solid heart, good dude, good quarterback. I'm glad to see that he's got another shot in this league, because if anybody deserves it, Teddy sure does. So with all that being said, I'm gonna throw you a curve, and I think the Lions are gonna beat them. So give me the Lions to win in Carolina.
I mean, this is a tough one to pick right now because I really feel it's predicated on if Bridgewater plays or not. I feel like if I agree, I think Teddy Bridgewater is so much better than people give him credit for. It's hard to say because we're several days out and we don't know if he's going to play. I'm going to take if he doesn't play. I mean, I'm gonna take the Lions to win this game. But I'm going to say if Bridgewater plays, I think the Panthers will win the game. But I'm going to take the Lions as well.
Yeah, not to be stale on this one, but I'm going Detroit in this one as well. I just don't. Carolina has flashes. Do we know if Christian McCaffrey's playing?
I believe he's doubtful.
I think that to me would be the big one. If he's playing, I would say I would lean Carolina, but if he's not, then I wouldn't touch that team. What do you know?
I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. So that's to me like even the Lions being absolutely terrible.
Oh God, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like,
backup?
it's not Kyle Allen because he's in the Redskins now. Washington, sorry. Man, third time I've done that.
PJ Walker.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah, so PJ
Brandon,
Walker was.
know that?
Yeah, I know. PJ Walker was the guy who tore it up in the was it
the
AAF?
Temple guy.
Yep.
And,
yeah, he went to Temple also.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Carolina is like Temple South now.
yeah, basically. But yeah, man, I definitely feel like that's if he plays, that would be a lot of fun, and that he's definitely talented. So if they had him and C-Mac, oh yeah, all day long I'm taking Carolina on that game. But if C-Mac's not playing, I probably wouldn't. Do you know the line on that game, Terry?
There's no line on it right now. It's I guess a pick 'em because they probably haven't put the line out because they don't know who's playing.
Yeah.
So they'll probably put the line out on Thursday or Friday once they figure out if Bridgewater's going to play.
That's the tough part about doing the podcast on Tuesdays. Is just we don't know with injury reports and whatnot what the finals are going to be. So, but hey, that's all right. So next game we have on the list is Tennessee at Baltimore. What do you think, Ralph?
What I think is this week is going to be some good football, and I'm looking forward to it because you got two teams coming off of a loss, two good teams, two teams that I will be shocked if they are not in the at least the divisional round of the playoffs this year. The Ravens. I really was surprised that the Patriots beat them last week, but all that being said, and the Titans being the away team, man, my gut says Titans, but I'm going to take the Ravens.
Well, yeah, I kind of put a lot of that loss on the Ravens. I think that the weather was just awful in that game, and I mean nobody could get anything done. I don't like the fact that when it comes time for the big spots and big games, Lamar Jackson hasn't really been, showing those flashes of like superstar that he was last year.
Been saying that all year.
I'm gonna go. I just don't like the fact that the Titans have like zero pass rush. but I do like their team overall. I think they're a well-built team. They can do a lot. I just feel like their defense is kind of underachieved up to this point. I'm going to take the Titans upset on the road.
I'm taking the Titans in this game as well. I might live to regret that one because sometimes when I pick against the Ravens, they make me really regret it. But I don't think that, like you said, Lamar has not shown up for a big game. I've said that in several podcasts this year. My faith in him has really dropped off in big games. Is he insanely talented? Yes. Is it the Madden curse? Has it come back with a vengeance? I don't know, but we'll have to see. Next game on the list that we have is the Jets at Chargers. Justin Herbert, is he going to rock it out on New York? What do you think, Ralph?
You got an 0-9 team and a 2-7 team. Not really prime time material there, but I do like Justin Herbert, and I think they found their quarterback of the future there. That kid, I mean, not to go off on a little tangent here, but watching him at Oregon compared to what he's been with the Chargers is, to me anyway, has been two different quarterbacks. Watching him at Oregon, I did not expect him to be anywhere near this good in the pros. But with all that being said, I'm going to take the Chargers just because the Jets just can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, I'm loving the Chargers this week. I agree. Justin Herbert is the real deal. He's like the silent assassin out there. This guy is just bombing it downfield. Hitting how many 300-yard games has he had this season?
How many touchdowns has he had over 75 yards?
Yeah,
I think he's got more pimples on his face than he has interceptions.
That's a good one.
I don't care about the pimples. I'll tell you, this kid can play, and I think the Chargers got their guy. I think they made the right move, for sure. They're 8.5-point favorites. I'm along with the Steelers I'm locking that in all day. They're going to roll the Jets.
I think, although, as Ralph said, not prime time, they have been one of the most fun football teams to watch this year with the Chargers games. Unfortunately, they've been a bit snake-bitten, but, man, Justin Herbert has just been an absolute joy to watch.
And their uniforms win all the time. Those
they're on point.
Are great.
Very on point.
Yeah, dude, they're the best. They're one of the best 2-7 teams I've ever seen. I mean, they've been in every single game.
Yeah, absolutely. It could have gone their way many of the times for sure. Next game we have in the late hour is Miami at Denver. What do you think, Ralph?
Well, I think my early season love of Miami is really starting to pay off. Again, that defense is no joke. They trade Minkah Fitzpatrick, to Pittsburgh. They make a couple other trades, and how many first-round picks do they have coming up over the next couple of years? This team's going to be fun to watch. I like the direction that the Dolphins are going. Broncos, on the other hand, 3-6, kind of rudderless, I think. But in Denver, don't know what the weather's going to be. Hot weather team going to a cold environment. Broncos, they're not terrible. I mean, obviously they won last weekend, but for my money, if I'm betting, I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah. So also a uni shout out: the Dolphins classic unis they've been wearing have been amazing. I love. They should just wear them all the time. They're sweet.
Why can't the Eagles do that? That's what I want to know.
Bring the Kelly Green back. I don't know what the deal is.
They got a different helmet. Isn't that what's kept it? Is that they're not allowed the extra helmet, and the Miami's got the extra helmet now. So can we just put this crap to bed?
Hey, maybe next year, like we said, a whole refresh. Let's refresh the unis. Let's refresh the whole damn team. Let's go.
That'd be awesome. Sorry, Terry, I didn't mean to ut you off. Go ahead, bud.
No, it's cool. So I like the Dolphins in this one again. I'll just say it now. I think there's a massive changing of the guard in the AFC East. I see the Dolphins and the Bills they're just going to own this division for a while. I think the Patriots are definitely on the downward slope. Dolphins defense is amazing, and Tua, 2-0 in his first two games. They're not asking him to do too much. but they're definitely efficient. Broncos. I'm not. I think Drew Lock can be a good player. I just think there's too many. They have too many injuries and too many issues that this year. Maybe next year, but I like the Dolphins.
You think a chance that Flores is going to be Coach of the Year by the time this is all said and done?
I think he's got to be in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say him, Kingsbury, and McDermott.
Who would have thought Kingsbury? Like when all that got started, I don't think there was a person in this world on God's green earth that thought he was going to be a good football coach.
I don't think he thought he would be a good football coach.
Hey, listen, even Chip Kelly had success in his first 2 seasons. So, let's give him some time and see what happens. Defenses tend to pick up on their schemes and stuff. These college run and gun offenses. So we'll see. But he does have an ultimate weapon with Kyler Murray.
Ralph, we found our new voice of reason. Terry bringing us back to earth. I love it. I'm going to take Miami in that game as well. Wrapping up, we got 3 more games left in the late hour. We have Dallas at Minnesota. What do you think, Ralph?
I won't belabor this one because I hate them, but Vikings.
Yeah, I think Vikings roll them. Dalvin probably has 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I don't think I would be surprised. I would be shocked, flabbergasted even, if Dalvin Cook didn't have over 200 yards in that game. I
want to know why this game didn't get flexed out.
Are they into the flexing now?
I don't know. I mean, that just seems like it's going to be a blowout in that, primetime spot.
I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely loved last week where they had 6 games in the late window and 5 games in the early window.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, I loved it. I wish they would do that more often.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having 8 or 9 games in the 1 o'clock window, and then you get three duds in the afternoon. You're like, what? Give me something.
Yeah, I might as well go do chores now. This crap.
Yeah, a little balance would be nice.
Yeah, right. Last 2 we got here is Green Bay at Indy. Ralph?
Well, Aaron Rodgers versus Phillip Rivers, Colts defense versus the Green Bay offense. Man, it's tough. It's tough. Colts are at home, so you're in a dome. But I just can't go against Aaron Rodgers. Give me the Pack.
I'm with Ralph on this one. I mean, I really like the Colts in this game, in this spot, though. I think their defense is strong. Like I said, they showed me a lot on Thursday night against the Titans. But as bad as inconsistent as the Packers defense has been, I'm not betting against Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to bet against Phil Rivers in this one. I'm taking the Packers.
Well, the last time they played, which obviously wasn't the same team, but looks like the Colts won 31-26 over the Packers. Would I be surprised if that wasn't the same score? No, not at all. But I'm going to stick with the Pack on this one. Aaron Rodgers had a throw in the last game that looked like it was shot out of a rocket launcher. And let me tell you, bud, I think this guy, if he can stay healthy and not have that fluke drag to the ground, landed on injury, I really think he could play for a long time. It's been quite surprising for me. I thought he would start to kind of show his age, but I haven't seen it at all.
Yeah, dude's got an absolute cannon. I mean, and as long as he's healthy and they keep him upright, I mean, the Packers are going to be in every game. I mean, it's just they're always going to be competitive with him, and I mean, I just can't believe they didn't draft him some extra help.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, after you hit like and you subscribe and you hit the bell and we wrap up the show, do yourself a favor. Type in Pat McAfee Show Aaron Rodgers in the search bar up there and go have yourself a time, because those have been some of the best interviews I think I have seen in a while when it comes to sports. I don't watch every minute of the Pat McAfee Show, but the clips that I catch have been solid gold, excellent. I watch those interviews specifically, the full interviews, and I love every single minute of it. So if you haven't watched those, definitely go check them out. We talked about them a little bit last week or the week before, and I honestly worth your time. Last one we got is KC at Las Vegas. Ralph, what do you think?
KC's getting revenge.
I'm with Ralph. Same thing. Kansas City's gonna. I think they're gonna smoke them after that last one. The last one was a fluke. I do think the Raiders are a team they can control a game with their run game, but I still think their defense is suspect, and I don't like Derek Carr. Mahomes going to just tear them up.
Going Kansas City in this one as well. Monday night game, last one. I think this one might be the surprise game of the week. We have LA at Tampa. What do you think, Ralph?
Ooh, man, we started tough. We're ending tough, aren't we?
Yeah, right?
Man, jeez. It's like student and the teacher with Goff and Brady a little bit here. But, man, Bucks at home, Brady. I think another week of having AB on your team, another week of getting him acclimated to that offense, and another week of Brady just doing things that any normal 40-some-year-old human being should not be able to do on a football field and still look like he's 24. Man, it's tough, and I would not be surprised to see LA go down there and win this. But I think that after the game against Seattle, I don't think they're going to go cross country, play the Buccaneers in Florida, and win. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is I do think this could be the game of the week for sure. This is a real tough one. I mean, I like the Buccaneers have a pretty good solid defense going against a pretty good rushing attack from the Rams with some good receivers and weapons on the outside. But they have shown that they've been a little suspect at times. On the other side of the ball, you got the Rams defense. Is Aaron Donald going to be a game wrecker this week? Ramsey's going to take at least one of those stud receivers out of the game. I'm going to have to go with the Buccaneers on this one, just because I think they just got too many options, too many weapons, and I like their defense a little bit more than I like the Rams defense, and they're at home. I'm taking the Bucs.
I'm taking the Bucs as well. I think their defense has been a little beaten up over the last couple of weeks off and on. I know the start of the game was a little tough for them. They found it obviously towards the end, but I think Tom Brady's offensive line is living in fear of him right now, of him taking them out to the woodshed, because man, all he had to do was just open his mouth and start yelling at him one time, and they just stepped right in line, man. So I'm going Bucs. I think that they will likely win that game. I want to thank you guys for showing up again, for having a great show. We're wrapping things up here this week. I want to take just a quick second and welcome our new member, Terry. Terry's been playing football since he was a wee lad, and we're definitely super grateful to have him here on the show. It's important to me to make sure that we had a authority on the sport, and so it was important to me to have another member on the show that played the game and understands the ins and outs of the game, can tell Ralph and I when we're full of shit. So we're very happy to have you here, man. I want to thank you for joining the show. Any words of wisdom for us as we wrap up our first episode?
Well, I would say I'm just very grateful and appreciative for you guys inviting me on to the podcast. This is actually my first podcast ever, so go me, I guess. But yeah, I mean, any insights? Obviously, you guys can tell them. I do like thinking this stuff over. I also, I do put a little bit of sports betting on it too. So I try and do my research on these games pretty well. But yeah, let's see if the cream rises to the top in this season, because right now I think there's a muddled pack that we don't really know who we've got. I think we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks. I think there's some games that are going to show us who some of these teams are.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And thank you again, you guys, for coming out, as always, taking some times away from your family to spend it with me. If nothing else, this always gives me an excuse to hang out with some great friends. So, and if nothing else, that's awesome. So if you guys are still out there listening, make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell. They'll tell us when you drop it, tell you when we drop a new episode. Really quick, shameless plug. Our other podcast, Beyond Explanation, where we talk about mysteries and aliens and all that fun stuff, is going to be coming back in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have our Dyatlov Pass Part 2 episode coming up, where we're going to wrap up the mystery of Dyatlov's Pass. We're going to talk about the investigation. We're going to talk about our theories about maybe what happened. Get into a little bit of Yeti talk, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. You'll have to tune in and find out. We also have our gaming thing that we just launched, Escape the Mind Gaming. If you're into that kind of stuff, right now we're playing State of Decay 2. Lots of zombie fun time, head smashing. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, make sure you check out the channel. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for showing up. Ralph, I got you out a half an hour early, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night, all right?
Yes, sir.
Have a good one, guys.
It's my turn! You told me it was my turn.
You can talk all that you want to, yell and scream, you lost.
It is my turn.
You lost the game. Take as long as you want, you still lost.